Welcome to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 174 as we continue the Texas Rye Whiskey Tournament, bracket number 3. In this bracket, I'm trying to find out which Texas Rye whiskey I like the most. My definition of Texas Rye whiskey, it's got to be, first of all, distilled in Texas or sourced from out of state for a Texas whiskey company, or somehow otherwise related to Texas. Broadly speaking, there are two kinds of Texas rye whiskeys. Those that have the Texas funk, which is produced by that harsh climate, the high heat, the extreme cold, the rapid fluctuations of air pressure, humidity, and temperature that affects the whiskey with the char and the oak, so that it tastes very oaky, very charcoaly, maybe earthy. Or the other kind of Texas whiskey, somehow I guess it's a climate-controlled warehouse, and it's not as exposed to the elements, and therefore it tastes much more similar to something from Kentucky, although there's still a little bit of a Texas twang to it. And there's a sliding scale. So, let me give you some examples. The extreme ends of the spectrum would be Blackland Rye here in Fort Worth has none of the Texas funk. Balcones out of Waco has the Texas funk through and through. Still Austin, maybe halfway in the middle. So that's what I'm talking about. So what I'm looking for in each contest between these two whiskeys, which whiskey would I choose to drink 3 out of 5 nights in a row if I was offered both of the contestants? In this contest, over the past year to year and a half, I've been studying 25 Texas rye whiskeys, and I've got a ways to go. In the event of a tie in the taste test, the win goes to the whiskey with the best price, value, and availability. Now, I do evaluate the whiskeys on several things: history, bottle label marketing, their composition and clarity about their production, appearance, nose, taste, mouthfeel, burn, finish, and would it work in a cocktail? Would it be better neat? And I can award some bonus points as well. In each contest, I'm drinking the whiskey blind. I have the glasses labeled number 1 and number 2. I mix the glasses up so that when I start the contest, I don't really know which of the two I'm drinking. And part of the fun, though not part of the contest, is to see if I can figure out which is which. So on to the contest and the contestants. In this corner, we have Balcones Texas Rye 100, fighting out of Waco, Texas, but this is now a ghost whiskey, as it's being replaced by the Balcones Bottled in Bond Rye. Now, back in May 22nd, episode number 169, I did a match of Balcones 100 versus the new Bottled in Bond Balcones Rye. And it was a blind match, and guess what? The old 100 won. Now, it was close, but it was blind. It was a fair contest. But that old 100 beat the Bottled in Bond. Then in episode 171, just 10 days ago or so, this whiskey beat Cotton Hollow 101 for the Battle of Ghost Whiskeys, because Cotton Hollow is no more. Got one of the last bottles. And speaking of last bottles, someone who watched my video of Texas Rye 100 versus the Bottled in Bond version saw me bemoaning the fact that this was now a ghost whiskey and going away. And this someone, local pastor friend of mine, David, found a bottle in a small mom and pop liquor store somewhere, showed up at my doorstep, gave me this bottle. We sat and talked for a while. He had never sampled it before, and he bought himself a bottle too. There was 2 bottles left. They were all covered in dust and everything. So he gave me 1 bottle. He kept 1 bottle. But he did that, never having tasted it, simply listening to the video. So, of course, I had to pour us a couple of drinks. and he loved it. So he is very glad, very happy that he found it and that he bought it. And I am grateful that he got me in it. Now this is my old bottle. It's you can see it's almost empty, but I've got a nice new full bottle back in my cabinet that David provided. So that's just an interesting story as a result of what doing these videos and him watching it. All right, now Balcones 100 is about as old as the Balcones distillery. I think it first came out in '09 maybe, or 10, something like that. Very very early in the Balcones years, and it's done with 100% Elbon rye, and it's heavy on the Texas funk. And one of the best things, $40 a bottle. Okay, that's an amazing price. And when this whiskey came out, it was very controversial because it was so different, and it's got a heavy dose of that Texas funk, and people across the country didn't know how to take it. And so the reviews that I watched of it, some people hated it, some people loved it. There weren't too many in the middle. Well, I guess there were some who just didn't know what to make of it. Okay, but for regular bourbons out there, the closest thing I can point to is maybe Basil Hayden Dark Rye. It would be something similar to that. Although that's an 80 proof and this is 100 proof, so there's a lot of differences, but enough similarities. So Giant Texas Rye Cask Strength. This is the other competitor right here. Giant Texas Cask Strength is 116.8 proof. It is at least 2 years old. All Texas grains, grain to glass. Distilled and aged in Houston by Giant Texas Distillers. Purchased at Total Wine in Fort Worth, February of 2024 for $44.87. Not carried by Specs or Goody Goody. So distribution of this is a little bit limited, but guess what? The price is $44.87 for this bottle for a cask strength. That's amazing. So that's good. This whiskey defeated Still Austin cask strength in the first episode or first level of this bracket, first contest, and that was back at early May of 2024. Whereas the Balcones in their first competition beat well, actually this one goes all the way back to bracket 2, and there they lost out to Tawakero in the second round. Tawakero went on to win bracket 2, and so Balcones beat Cotton Hollow just 10 days ago. So this is again favored to win maybe in this bracket. But Giant Texas, it's a strong, it's got a strong Texas funk to it. The burn doesn't affect it as much as some of the other cask strengths. So this can be a good competition. History. I'd have to award history to Balcones because it does stretch back before Giant was around. And so even though it's a ghost whiskey, I would give history to Balcones. But when it comes to bottle and labeling, I'm going to have to say that Giant Texas wins that. I like the bottle shape. The label looks a little bit more classy. So Giant Texas is going to win that label bottle. Maybe not marketing because Balcones is a big boy. Balcones is everywhere, and so Giant Texas is a little bit smaller operation for sure. But just the bottle and the label, and Giant here says best in class whiskeys of the world 2022 gold. So but Balcones is, I don't know if their Rye's actually won that many prizes. I don't have that information, but nonetheless, composition, the Balcones 100% Elbon Rye, so we know what's in there, and it's Texas, it's you know, I'm not sure if they. It says aged at least 24 months in oak. I'm not sure if they got all their rye from Texas or some maybe Oklahoma. But Giant definitely says it's grain glass Texas. So composition plus with Giant, David Pickerel assisted in designing the recipe and mash bill for this. Pickerel is kind of famous in the whiskey world. He died about 6 years ago. Young too, he's only 62. He worked at Maker's Mark for 14 years after he got out of the Army, and then started his own consulting business. And one of the things that makes Pickerel so well known and famous in the whiskey world is he helped about 100 craft distilleries across the nation get started with his expertise. So you know that says a lot. So composition. I don't have a mash bill precisely for the, the Giant. You know, this is a straight rye whiskey. Uh, so I'm not sure it's 116.8, but that's going to be a tie there. Both of them have got a lot of things going for it. So that's pretty much a tie. Let's look at the appearance of these whiskeys now. Almost identical, and again, I don't know which is which. So they're both fairly dark. That's going to be about a 4 on my scale, I think. In the bottle, it looks like the Balcones might be a shade darker. Maybe. But it's too close to call. I'm going to call that a tie. So now let's go to the nose. I'm going to start on my left. See, both of these have the Texas funk, so I'm not going to be able to. I mean, that smells like the Texas funk. A little bit of rye. You know, I don't know if I can tell much from the nose. Now that one smells less Texas funk. I'm going to think that this is the Giant on my right, going off the nose, and this is Balcones on my left. So now we're going to move to tasting, and really, I'm going to say the one on my left had the better nose. So nose, I'm going to say this one on the left one. So let's go to the tasting. Wow. This is the Giant. That proof really gives you a kick in the throat, which is not bad. That's not a bad thing, but this is a fairly sweet, but it also has got a nice rye spice to it, and the Texas funk is all the way through it. So you're getting dark fruits, leather, tobacco, cherry. Wow. Yeah, there's cherry on the finish there. Wow, this is amazing. But that proof gives you a blast all the way through. So I'm thinking this is the Giant. Yeah, it's got a strong rye spice to it that the Balcones won't have. So that's very noticeable rye spice, but you still get the heavy Texas funk. And then, you know, you got the pine needles going on, the evergreen flavor, but then it has some fruit in there as well. That's quite delicious. And I'm going to move to the one on my right. That is definitely the Balcones. Yeah, that's got less of the rye spice, more of the Texas funk, much less of a noticeable proof. Really, it's very smooth, not much of a burn. But you get leather, chocolate, maybe coffee, tobacco, all the way through the finish. Still going on, the very long finish. Still going on. So this is very clearly the Balcones. And I would say that that one wins on the taste for sure, and the mouthfeel, finish, and burn. It has it all. So the one on the left had the nose. One on the right has got the burn goes to the one on the left, but mouthfeel and finish. Mouthfeel is going to be about the same. Finish is very clearly the one on the right. So the burn on the one on the left may actually take away from the flavor a little bit. I mean, it's not too hot. I mean, this one beat the Still Austin cast strength, because Still Austin, I think the heat was a disadvantage. This one, the heat's an advantage. Yeah, the mouthfeel is about the same on both of them. The burn goes to the one on the left, but the finish is clearly stronger with the one on the right, and I really think that that's Balcones. Now, neat or mixer. I would hesitate to use either of these as a mixer, but I guess you could. I mean, the price, you're looking at 40 to mid 40, $44, $45 for the cast strength. I hesitate to use those as a mixer, but at cast strength, I think it would work as a mixer, and the flavor would come through. Same with Balcones. I love it so much neat. I've never tried it as a mixer. But at $40 for the Balcones, that's doable. And that flavor, I bet that flavor would really stand out in a cocktail. So I would say both of these would be tied as a neat or mixer. Price and availability clearly goes to Giant, because Balcones is now a ghost whiskey. But availability is still limited. It's only a Total Wine. So let's do the reveal, which is which. I'm saying the glass on my right should be number 1, Balcones. And it is. Glass on my left is number 2, and that's Giant Texas. So the winner, I'm going to say, is Balcones. It has more what I'm looking for in a Texas whiskey. That Texas funk is there through and through. Very long finish. Whereas the Giant has more of a burn, which is an advantage, but its focus is on the rye flavor. I mean, it's actually pretty well balanced. You get a lot of rye flavor as well as the Texas funk. But Balcones is just a favorite. So cheers to Balcones for being the winner. There you go. It's the most complex. Yeah. All right. Balcones for the win. Next up on the Texas Rye Whiskey Tournament, I think we're going to do Unbent Bottled in Bond, which lost its first round to Still Austin 99.6. And that's going to go against Balcones Bottled in Bond. So that's kind of a loser's bracket. Both of those lost in the first round. But I think the loser's bracket, see, none of these 25 whiskeys is a bad whiskey. 25 whiskeys in the tournament, not one did I say was bad. They all deserve a second chance. So we're going to have a loser's bracket here next week. Unbent, bottled and bond versus Balcones, bottled and bond. So that's a BIB competition there. Well, that's it for Stab the Dragon. Out here.